Hey, this is Matt. Once again, we're about to the videos of the paid requests. This time for Eelco. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is for Bad Times at the El Royale, a 2018 film directed by Drew Goddard, who did The Cabin in the Woods, which I wasn't really a fan of. I know a lot of people like that film. That's fine. I just would rather go watch Waxwork and Waxwork 2 Lost in Time in terms of monster matches at the end and other things of that nature, which I won't get into because we're not reviewing that film. We're reviewing this film. Now, this film I didn't mind at the end of the day. I thought it was okay. I mean, I don't think it's 7.1 IMDb, but I say okay, but at the same time, I would never see this film again. I think the opening is interesting. I think some pieces of the cast are rather good, in particular Jeff Bridges. I think he steals the movie. He gave a fairly heartfelt performance as this guy whose memory's drifting away from him, so he doesn't remember things as clearly as he used to. And he has some really heartfelt moments with him, showcasing that you really feel for the guy. There's a character named Dolores who is a struggling singer. I did not mind that actress. She's pretty much the innocent of the group. Because the story is a group of people go to this hotel called the El Royale, which is on the border of California and Nevada. It takes place around the late 60s, early 70s. And each of these people have their own stories, and ultimately it culminates in the finale there. You have Jon Hamm, who's a salesman, but you find out there's more to him. He's working with like the FBI, CIA, whatever, with all these wiretaps. He's trying to get out of the room. That's his job. That this place is wiretapped to hell. He's getting them out of there. There's Jeff Bridges, who you think is a priest, but there's more to meet the eye to him. And he's obviously trying to find something in his room, digging under the floorboards. Like I said, Dolores is a singer who had some grief where she was before. She's trying to find her way. You have this other lady who you find out has a sister and has her sister tied up in the hotel room because she was a hippie that was brainwashed by this cult led by Chris Hemsworth. The hotel manager, he's fairly young, bit skittish. You found out why. So there's people, most of them having their own secrets. In the hotel has its own secret because there's a hallway that could go behind most of the rooms, and there's two-way mirrors, and there's even a camera set up in one room for a reason. So there's all this stuff that there's a bit of an intrigue at the beginning of the film as to where it's going to lead up to. I don't think the payoff is that satisfying. Jeff Bridges and the actress that plays Dolores, I thought they did a good job. And the way their stories ended were satisfying. But just the whole mystery of the hotel and the whole thing with Chris Hemsworth and his cult and like Jon Hamm and him, I thought was kind of underutilized. Because his character seemed, with what to do with the wiretaps and all that stuff, that seemed like the most interesting part of the story, and that kind of falls by the wayside. It's one of those movies that is a good-looking film, has some nice cinematography. I thought they did a nice job making it seem like a 60s, 70s era with the lush colors of the hotel, the soundtrack. One song was 26 Miles. It's a song I remember I first heard in Adventures in Babysitting. There's a Deep Purple song called Hush, which the cover of that will later be, and I Know We Did Last Summer. Hush, hush, ba-do-do-do-do-do-do. There's the original version. So it has a decent soundtrack, has some pretty good acting. Like I said, Jeff Bridges definitely steals the show. The movie did not need to be too, and a half, 2 hours and 20 minutes long. It did not. I think the pace really hurts the film. It could be sluggish, and I definitely think some trimming needed to be done. There's a bit where the remaining characters are tied up with Chris Hemsworth yapping about, or playing some roulette, or giving some exposition, and the whole scene goes on for 20 fucking minutes, man. 20 minutes. Like, goddamn, man. And stuff leading up to it. Okay, spoilers. Like I said, Jon Hamm's story is potentially interesting because, like I said, he says he's a salesman, but he's really with the CIA or FBI, whichever one. And he got all these wiretaps out of the room. A fuckload of wiretaps. He finds that there's something behind the mirror in his room, and it's a hallway with all these rooms, two-way mirrors to see into all the hotel rooms. And he sees that there's Jeff Bridges digging into the floor, which we find out it's to look for money that was buried there long ago. Because Jeff Bridges, he's pretending he's a priest, but he was a robber with his brother and such. He's trying to find the money his brother hid. You have Dolores, who's a singer. She's trying to practice her singing abilities. You have the one girl whose sister she has tied up, and Jon Hamm tries to rescue her, but then he gets killed. So I thought Jon Hamm ended and got out of the movie way too quick. So like I said, that story with him and what he's there for just seemed... There's a lot more that we could have gotten out of it. The girl who she was brainwashed with Chris Hemsworth as the cult. You don't get... Oh. He's only in like 2 scenes in like the first 2 hours of the movie, and then him and his cult, which he only brings like 3 or so people. Like, well, what? 4, maybe 4, 5 people, like not that much he brings with him. And I still can't even tell you what his end goal is. Because during all the talking, I probably should have put 2 and 2 together, but either I just gave no shits about it, or gave little of a rat's ass about his goal. So maybe I'll put the blame on me on that. Or blame it on the fucking rain. Yeah, yeah. But like I said, for that 2 hours, because it's not told in a linear fashion. It's trying to be a bit Tarantino, Pulp Fiction, that type of thing with his storytelling. So it'll go a bit, and then it'll do a flashback to, this is what Jeff Bridges' backstory is. This is what Dolores' backstory is. This is what, so on and so forth. So yeah, it's one of those things that it wasn't like I had a god-awful time with it. But also there's a part of me that's kind of hoping something much more interesting and engaging is going to happen amongst this hotel business. I mean, Dolores, you think there's going to be something more to her. Okay, she's the innocent. Jesus wants to sing. Okay. The girl is brainwashed. Like I said, you only get a little bit of flashback. Her being Chris Hemsworth on a beach. About a minute or 2 of her and the cult with Chris Hemsworth. Not a whole lot, other than that. Jeff Bridges, okay, him and his brother and others, Rob got this money. Jeff Bridges went to jail. Got out in 10 or so years. Like I said, him explaining to Dolores about his brain malfunctioning and losing memory, that was some of the better stuff in the movie to me. I thought Jeff Bridges really knocked out apart. Just, again, heartfelt. It was worth a watch just to see, because I like Jeff Bridges, and to see his performance. He was endearing. And I liked Jeff. The Big Lebowski is one of my favorite comedies ever. And I said, the actress who plays Dolores, she seemed very sweet. But I wish the story was just a bit more engaging. a bit more blood pumping, a bit more adrenaline pumping, like Pulp Fiction, like that story. Like, I don't think the dialogue here is that witty, interesting, catchy to listen to for this running time. And I think that's the issue with Drew Goddard. The film wants to be Tarantino, but you don't have a guy like Tarantino writing the script and really putting this great dialogue into these people's mouths. Again, Jeff Bridges with his acting steals the scenes that he's in. The others, I'm not going to say it's a terribly written movie because I don't think that. It's just something about it just wasn't that engaging to me. Wasn't that engaging. And then it culminates with Chris Hemsworth having the girl, because the sister called Chris Hemsworth and his cronies there. So he has the older sister tied up, has Dolores the senior tied up, has Jeff Bridges tied up, and has the hotel manager tied up. And for like 20 minutes, it's Chris Hemsworth talking, but not really saying anything that interesting, and about how Dolores isn't scared of Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Hemsworth hates priests, and Jeff admitting he's not really a priest, and then Chris wondering where this money come from. And it's like, this is shit we already know? Or is it that fucking interesting to listen to? And then Chris Hemsworth does the... Chris does the roulette and kills the older sister, but I don't give a fuck because there's no reason for me to give a fuck about that character. Why should we as an audience member give a shit about this older sister? Maybe, okay, her intentions are to save her younger sister, cool, but then you see Jon Hamm, who's only there to help this girl, thinking that she's been kidnapped, doesn't let the guy explain, just shoots and kills Jon Hamm, which he didn't do anything to deserve that. He tried to do the right thing and he died. So you're like, fuck this person. Good, I'm glad they're dead. You fucked up, you weren't ready, you killed the wrong person, you killed an innocent person. Good. Now you're dead too. Didn't give a shit about that character. And didn't give a shit about the younger brainwashed bitch too. So when she gets killed, Jeff Bridges shoots her. I'm like, good. Although I think we're supposed to root for Jeff on that front. And the hotel manager, he's not bad, but just mainly being skittish and scared. And you tell he always wants to talk to the priest because he wants forgiveness. This is pretty much it until you find out his secret where he was in Vietnam. He killed a bunch of folks in Vietnam. Because that was part of his job as a sniper. He feels guilt for that. So that's why in this current time he's like a druggie. He kills some of Chris Hemsworth's group. Jeff Bridges headbutts Chris Hemsworth and fights him for a bit. The hotel manager kills the guy. The girl kills and stabs, guts the hotel manager, and Jeff Bridges shoots her and sure shot her in the fucking face. Jeff Bridges has a good scene where he helps the guy, because the guy, listen, I know you're not a priest, but you tell he's just so out of it, and he wants forgiveness above anything else. So Jeff gives him the last rites, and just how the warmth Jeff gives to this guy, how the sincerity. If I learn how to talk, for some reason I can't talk. The sincerity he gives in talking to this guy. It was really nice to see. It was a good scene. And Jeff and the girl, they get the money that Jeff found and they leave. Things end well for them. The hotel's burning down. But like I said, it would have been nice to either... The semblance of a mystery of the hotel is that there was this film... and it recorded a famous figure in a sexual connotation, but we never know who it is. You can maybe guess it was someone like John F. Kennedy because of the time period, but we never know. Just people look at it and going, wow, that guy's dead. Wow, that guy's famous. And like it's a big deal. Kind of reminds you of Pulp Fiction with the suitcase. Is it Marcellus Wallace's soul? Is it money? Is it gold? Is it whatever? You never know. You figure out for yourself. Same with this. But I said with Pulp Fiction, like the story and the characters just felt much more engaging. They felt much more. It's a long movie, but it still felt tighter in its pacing. It didn't feel as sluggish. And like I said, the characters and the dialogue and the El Royale with cheese felt like much more memorable to think about and pontificate on and talk about. It's a movie that I'm fine with watching once, but other than Jeff's performance, I have no need to watch it again. The twists, if you want to call that, weren't really that eye-catching or, oh, wow. The finale felt like it went on too long, and I think that really hurt it too. That 20 minutes of them tied up and Chris Hemsworth yapping, that really hurt it. The semblance of momentum is definitely killed with that. I didn't feel an intensity. I didn't feel suspense. Just the story. I think that's what it is. The story at the end of the day, it's a good looking movie, has a pretty decent cast, nice soundtrack. The look, the sound, the acting. I don't think the story was as engaging as it was for some people, I guess. Some people were really liking the story. To me, the story just wasn't really there for me. I don't know how else to put it. Like Jon Hamm's story, what's going on with his character be interesting, but he's taken out way too quick in my opinion. Jeff Bridges, his story is the most interesting with the robber, but he's got memory issues. Dolores is there, but she's just a singer, just trying to get by. The girl, okay, your sister is brainwashed, and the cult, we only see like 2 scenes of them, and then they yap a lot in the 3rd act. I never felt the danger from this cult. I never felt Chris Hemsworth was scary or intimidating. I like Chris Hemsworth as an actor, but I didn't find him that scary or intimidating as a cult member. I didn't really feel the crazy insanity of him. He just seemed like okay, he's a cult member, but just seemed like a typical guy. Like I said, I never felt this big ire and evil from him. So, I didn't really find his cult member character that interesting. In terms of dialogue, in terms of his look, in terms of anything. I didn't feel a sense of menace from him. I definitely think this is a film that could have been trimmed down a bit and tightened up quite a bit. Would that have helped it would have helped the movie. I don't know if it would have saved the movie. I say I don't hate the film, but it's just okay for me. It was just okay. But I would have no desire to see it again. Except for Jeff Bridges in his performance. You look up clips on YouTube and see that stuff. So, with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.